2, 3. Hi, we're the Boomershines, and we are 17 miles away from crossing our wake.
17, not 70. I can do
17.
17.
Yep. So this is our May/June update, and we will explain why we are still 17 miles away from completing our loop.
Yeah, so keep watching.
The title of this video is How Not to Finish the Loop. We're literally not finishing the loop. And our boat needs batteries, and Mark needs spine surgery.
Cinda, how can we possibly be 17 miles from
well,
finished?
Rewind. Our last update, we were in the Bahamas. We had a great time in the Bahamas. I forget where we were last. We were in Staniel. We went from Staniel Key to Cape Eleuthera.
I think it was Staniel Key.
Cape Eleuthera to Spanish Wells. We got to Spanish Wells, had a great time with some other boat friends. And then when we were leaving Spanish Wells to go to Harbor Island, Seashine didn't want to turn on. Our engines didn't want to crank. But
we were waiting on Woody, the boat pilot, who had showed up, and we were like, hold on, be there in a minute.
Anyway, the boat didn't want to start, but it did start. Mark worked his magic, and the engines both started. We went to Harbor Island, which is like top 10 places in the world for me.
Yep.
I've been a lot of places. I love Harbor Island. So Harbor Island was great. Then we left Harbor Island.
We spent how long in Harbor Island? A week?
A little over a week, because we were waiting on weather to settle down. And then from Harbor Island, we went to the Berry Islands, and we anchored. And while we were on anchor, Mark's like, our batteries are acting weird. And we were at a sketchy anchorage on the east side of the island, only protected from winds out of the west. Winds out of the east, it was not a safe anchorage. And normally the winds are out of the east, but when we were there, the winds were out of the west, so we stopped at this anchorage. In the middle of the night, Mark's like, something's wrong with our batteries. And so I'm like, oh great, we're gonna be stuck at this dangerous anchorage forever. Next morning, Peaches and Cream cranked right up, it was great. We went to La Calle, which is basically a suburb of Freeport in the Bahamas that day. Spent the night. And then next morning,
had a beautiful, amazing 95-mile run
from Freeport
to Palm Beach,
which is where we are. It was great. We had an incredible time. It was great. We spent a couple nights here, and this is the marina where Mark's parents had a boat for years, so this feels like home. It was
Old
great.
Port Cove stomping grounds.
Love it.
Where we learned to boat on a 42-foot boat and got into all this love.
And our last leg of the loop is from North Palm Beach to Stewart. So we get up, ready to do our last run.
17 miles.
17 miles until we cross our wake.
Turn the key.
Push the button. Engines don't start. We can't get them to start.
So, long story short, when we bought the boat, we knew that the batteries were older. I was told by the previous owner, now you know these batteries are 10 years old. They're amazing batteries, but you know these batteries are 10 years old. And he said, you're going to want to replace these batteries. Getting
batteries is tricky and complicated, more so than you would think. Mark worked on it for a while, and he couldn't find it.
It was very hard to meet 3 130-pound batteries as you're constantly moving every day along our trip.
Yes, and there was a stock and an inventory issue. Anyway, so
supply chain issues.
They were working great until the Bahamas, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're not feeling so good. And we made it from the Bahamas to our first port in America.
The old girl got us here. She knew we were here safely, and then they gave up the ghost.
Oh my gosh.
Turns out those batteries, after we pulled them out, they were 13 years old, which for any battery is unheard of. Your average 4D, 8D boat battery will last 5 years on a good battery. 13 years is incredible.
And it died here in our home port, basically.
They're called North Star batteries, so hats off to you. They're really strange. They're tall, skinny. There were 6 of them to make all of our batteries. Now we're going to convert to 3. But they're used for the cellular industry, and they're used for cell towers if this whole tower goes down. So they're a super cool battery. And, I mean, no complaints. 13 years.
Anyway,
is impressive.
And thank the Lord, literally, that we made it back to the States, and we're in our home port, and we have met the most amazing people while we've been here. Mark has a ruptured disc in his neck, and
I watch video of myself, and I'm doing this a lot. And
it flares up with stress, and so when the boat didn't start, Mark had the worst flare up ever, and so like not able to function.
Found a doctor here. You found a spinal
doctor. We got
a
spine doctor. They did X-rays, MRIs. We're like, we have to operate. So we were scheduled for you to have a disc replaced in your neck while we're
3 days ago
fixing the boat and doing surgery and moving off the boat. It's just been a very complex few days. We got the boat fixed, and all of a sudden he feels better.
But you said, hey, let's just take a step back. Let's have you calm down.
You were getting better. You had like 3 days where you literally were like the most miserable.
But I did do an MRI, and it is proven that it's not just in my head. There is a literal ruptured disc, but stress does amazing things to your body. Well, amazingly bad things to your body, and that's what's going on.
So we've tried to be zen. We have really focused on the really cool things that have happened, and there's some really, like, people are awesome. If you watch the news, you think everybody is horrible and everybody's angry, and my year on the boat has just shown me the dead opposite. We have complete strangers. I mean, we've met them at a pool who are offering to let us stay in their house or use their car. We've just met the most amazing people. We ended up randomly calling this mechanic, and they're like, we have another client by that name. And it was this client that had done work on his dad's boat, 15 years ago. And they're like, he was so nice. Remember him? How is he? He's 94 and doing great. But, it's my takeaway from the loop is that people are so generous and so kind and so amazing. And we need to not listen to what's going on in the news, because, we just have had the most incredible encounters with people along the way.
Especially
be it
in the
here
Bahamas.
or at the Bahamas. The Bahamians are the most generous, lovely, happy people. It's just, that's my takeaway in all this.
Yep.
People say when you do the loop, it's the people you meet. And I thought it was the loopers you meet. And yes, we've met some amazing loopers, but it's really the people at the marinas, that help you, and it's the strangers who will offer a car, or just it's all the other people that have really impressed me.
Well, and I learned with that little Volkswagen van that we have, is when you break down is when you're like, something good's about to happen. But obviously I don't take that in with this trip because of the flare up, but it always happens when we have our...
Oh, I dropped an earring. This is the best example of that. Okay, go ahead.
When we have broken down, the people that have come on board, we were physically the farthest we could be from home in Hastings, Ontario, and that whole community came together when we blew the injector to help us.
Yeah,
so,
I mean...
it really is, if you can change your mindset, and I'm telling myself this, when you break down, change it from, oh gosh, this is terrible, to... something great's about to happen, or we're about to meet someone amazing. Let's just wait and see what happens. It really changes your perspective.
Yes, what's the best that can happen? When we were in the Bahamas, we got dressed up for a fancy dinner at the landing, which was so good. But I had on these big earrings, and we're walking down the dock, and one of them fell off my ear and then went right between the dock boards. And I'm like, ugh. I was sad because it was a lovely earring. Anyway, the next day, Mark agreed at low tide to go swimming for the earring and see if he could find it. And right before we did that, another boat, this beautiful Ocean Alexander, backs right in by the earring. So the earring's underneath the dock here. This boat backs in right here. And so Mark's like, yeah, the sand's been kicked all over. You're never going to find it.
Because the propeller's going to push all the sand and
cover
wherever it was sitting,
But he agreed to go look for it anyway, and he hops in, and he dives underneath the dock and comes face to face with a baby manatee, and it's Mama.
Yep. And we had a good 20-minute encounter with a manatee, which here in the United States you can't do. The Bahamians, they're a little bit more open about their protection, and I was trying not to touch them, but the baby wanted a belly rub. Literally, he kept rolling onto me and wanting a belly rub.
It was chasing Mark. So they were very friendly manatees.
Mama got a little hippie with me. She would go like this, and when 2,000 pounds hit you, you go poof.
It was the coolest experience. And then Mark's
Rex went in.
And Mark he couldn't go down because the manatees were pestering him. He's like, I can't. I was like, just give it one more shot. And he goes down, and the manatee goes with them. And tell him what happened.
She goes underneath me, and then I see her burrowing in the sand, and she hadn't done that behavior at all before. And then I'm looking right next to where she was, because I'm like, oh great, she just stirred up all the sand. Sitting right next to where she had dug up all the sand.
It's my big white earring.
Little glimmer of gold. It was mostly white with a little glimmer of gold. Found it!
So, what's the best that can happen? The best that can happen is you have the most amazing, magical encounter with a manatee and you find your earring.
Yep.
But anyway, so that's where we are. We are still in Oilport Cove. We've replaced the batteries, but we decided we're here for about a week longer. And then we're going to move off the boat here, all our stuff off the boat, and then we are going to run the 17 miles up to Stewart. You know, and we've had a lot of comments, why are you selling Seashine? You don't need to sell Seashine. Like, what? You're crazy. It's always been the plan.
It's been the plan
to sell Seashine. You know, our home is in Atlanta, and it makes no sense to long-term own a boat in Florida with kids in school. You've got Christmas, you've got spring break, you've got summer. And there's so much more of the world that we want to see that if you have a boat, you're kind of pigeonholed into what you can do easily on the boat. So I am looking forward to traveling Europe and Asia and all the other parts of the world with our children
There'll be another boat in the future.
And there will absolutely be another boat in the future. But for the next...
Seashine do.
Yeah. For the next, 8 years... we will be seeing other parts of the world that we wouldn't easily do if we had Seashine and we were limited to our range. So I imagine we'll be chartering boats, we'll be doing cruises, different places, we'll be traveling,
Maybe
longer
we
distances.
charter a boat in Montenegro.
Oh, Mark's fascinated. Like, yeah, I would love to charter a boat for a summer in the Med. Like, just we're selling it because there's another chapter in our lives.
We got other things to do besides
this
boat
area.
On this beautiful boat in this area. So
she's been a great boat, but we bought her for this chapter, the Loop. So the Loop is 17 miles away from being done. So that is our update. Any other?
Nope. It's this one's birthday today.
I'm 39 again. Yeah, so that is hopefully the next time we come back for an update, we will be sitting in our living room at home and we'll be back to normal life, but who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see what's
the best that can happen.
That's true.
So what do you want people to do?
Oh, if you would pick up 2 pieces of trash a day, that'd be awesome. And thank you for following. And I anticipate a few random videos, and once we're back on land update, and then we will start editing the adventure. So
there's so many people that have been sweetly commenting that we're so sad to see you go. Oh no, we have
we're gonna relive the whole last year.
Hundreds of hours of video to go through, and you have the whole loop. We've just been doing monthly updates, and about every other month. You have the whole loop to still live through. So we're trying to decide is that it's not going to be day by day. It'll be
leg by leg.
Leg by leg. A leg being we left this day and traveled this far
to this place.
Because we could literally bore you to tears if we did every day. But you got a whole loop. You got 7,000 miles almost to live through with us vicariously. And we want to make them beautiful. We want to make them entertaining. So we were bummed at first that we didn't do it while doing it. Now we're going to go home. We're going to relive the trip together and as a family as we edit and really enjoy what we did. And it's going to be a better video experience and viewing for y'all. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, so that's it. So
all right.
Make it a great day.
Shine on.